Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So tonight we're going to talk about the Rosenbergs, Roy Cohn, Joe McCarthy, Roger Stone, and Donald Trump. Because oddly enough, all of them are connected. They are all part of one historical chain. Okay, so let's start with the Rosenbergs. Who were they? Simply, probably the most effective spies of the 20th century. I mean, realistically. They were a husband and wife team. They spied for the Soviets against the United States. And they were just amazing. I mean, seriously. Not just did they hand over information. All spies do that. They recruited other spies. And the information they handed over was high value. We're not talking about little bits and pieces, little bits of human intelligence that doesn't matter. No, we're talking about serious stuff, like the plans to our jets, the internal workings of components to some of our most devastating weaponry. They handed over secrets related to the A-bomb. They were eventually caught. Roy Cohn was one of the prosecutors on that case. Now, as we're about to find out, this is a hard right guy, and he would definitely charge them to the max. They were not charged with treason. If you followed this channel for any length of time, you've probably seen me in the comments section saying treason in the United States is extremely specific. It's actually really hard to get charged with treason in the U.S. There's a lot of things that have to line up. Okay. So, Roy Cohn also worked for Joe McCarthy. Joe McCarthy, of the guy who personified the Red Scare. He worked for him during the hearings. And McCarthy pretty much saw Soviet spies, well, everywhere. Everybody was a communist. After that, he worked with Roger Stone on Reagan's campaign. Roy Cohn and Roger Stone, there's the accusation that they engaged in, let's just call it unethical behavior. He was also a representative for a certain real estate developer when he got to New York, Donald Trump. That's Roy Cohn. So this is a man that would definitely sink the Rosenbergs as hard as he could. Didn't charge him with treason. I think they went down for conspiracy to commit espionage, is what they went down for. Either way, the point being, it didn't really matter to them. Both carry pretty stiff penalties. In the United States, U.S. Code 18-2381. Treason. Okay. Whoever owing allegiance to the United States levies war against them or adheres to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort within the United States or elsewhere, is guilty of treason. Two key things. Foreigners, people who do not owe allegiance to the United States, can't be charged with treason. The other part of this levies war. It has to be during an act of war or in support of an actual war effort. Simple espionage isn't enough for treason. Okay, so now that we understand why, what would be an act of treason? An act of treason would be if somebody owed allegiance to the United States. Let's say they were in public office, and a foreign government was committing an act of war, and that person in public office used their position to degrade the United States' ability to fight back against that act of war, to aid it, to give them comfort, to help. That would be something that a prosecutor could present as treason. It's very rare that that happens, because acts of war don't happen that often. It's worth noting that the Pentagon has argued that cyber attacks are an act of war. Something that should give everybody pause, given today's climate. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good night.